Chapter 25. Coming towards the end of the book, we got a few more. That's it. We got like 3 more chapters here. So let's get to it then. I'm gonna start reading, and then I'll find the main points over here. Okay, so miracle is a name given by those who have no faith for the rest of faith, because there are no miracles. Everything is carried on by the law of assumption. Yeah. So faith is a substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen, and the very reason for the law of assumption is contained in this question. That's an interesting thing to say. I think that what he means by because literally what this can be interpreted as is the very reason for the law of assumption. So the reason why the law of assumption exists is because of faith. I don't think that's true. I mean, I'm gonna say that he's not contradicting himself as to the reason of the law of assumption, and that's mainly because it's predicated on consciousness and being made up of all things. So consciousness determines the events and the order of it and all that. But what I think this can mean for somebody reading it is that the faith is the main instrument that you can use the law of assumption with which you can use the law of assumption. Okay, that's just me. So if there were not a deep-seated awareness that which you hope for had substance and was possible for attainment. See, because this is why, because he's bringing it to a personal level. So he's talking about if there were not a deep-seated awareness that which you hope for, so you have to have faith that what you have already has substance. So it's quoting this Bible verse here. Yeah, it's the fact that so also what bolsters it is the faith. So these two things, creation finished and everything exists. That allows you to hope. Okay, so I'm gonna draw another picture here. So let's see. It's talking about hope. Okay, so we got hope right here. So what I think he's saying is that hope is a part of this house or building upon which the law of assumption is based on. And then to build hope, you can use fundamental facts like creation. Oh, that's not going to work. Creation is, I'm going to continue over here, finished. And then the other one, which is everything exists. Okay, so if that helps. Okay, and hope implies expectation, which without the expectation of success, it would be possible to consciously use the law of assumption. That's true. This should be pretty easy to understand. Okay, evidence is a sign of actuality. So he's still talking about the Hebrews verse here. The faith is the evidence of things not seen. So that's like not depending on your senses. Evidence is a sign of activity. Thus, faith is the awareness of the reality of that which you would assume. So he's restating the verse here. Faith is the awareness of the reality of which you assume, and a conviction of the reality of things that you don't see, the mental perception of the reality of the invisible. Yeah, so perceiving that what is not able to be perceived is real. Consequently, it is obvious that a lack of faith means disbelief in the existence of that which you desire. Okay, so now he's defining lack of faith here. Okay. Inasmuch as that which you experience is the faithful reflection of your state of conscious, lack of faith will mean perpetual failure in the consciousness of the law of assumption. I'll go over that sentence one more time. Inasmuch as that which you experience is a faithful reproduction of your state of consciousness. So going back to the fundamental facts of everything being consciousness and everything resulting from, well, I guess, yeah, everything resulting from consciousness. So you can like kind of tap into that. Because we're limited beings, and consciousness, according to Neville, is everything, and so we can kind of assume consciousness and tap into the normal flow of how things go according to the law of assumption and what Neville says here. Which is how you experience faithful reproduction. And you know what? I'm gonna go ahead. I believe this as well. I say Neville says, but just that's for clarity's sake. I'm gonna choose to believe this, even though there's like I have no clue if it's true or not. I can't prove it. I choose to believe this because it's more beneficial to me to have an internal locus of control. And I mean I'm not gonna talk about my personal stuff there. I'm just gonna say that I agree with this. Lack of faith will mean any perpetual faith. Okay, great. Okay, in all the ages of history, faith has played a major role, permeates major religions, and it's misunderstood. Okay, can I talk about that here? I don't think so. No. The efficacy of faith does not work to any outside agency. It is for first lasting activity of your own consciousness. He went over this. Okay, well, let's just treat that as a standalone fact that it wasn't built on anything. But you can understand that that what you are conscious of having, even when it's opposed to what you perceive, that is an act of faith. But I don't understand this. Let's see, maybe I mean he'd have to tell the efficacy of faith is not due to the work of any outside agency. So he's establishing self-responsibility here, or responsibility, but it's all on your shoulders, as opposed to faith being given maybe from some deity that people believe in. But this idea, the main idea is this idea from first to last. You are in charge of your own faith. That's yeah. The faith of the Bible statements. Okay, to us is the gospel preached as well as something. Okay, so he's saying that the Bible was full of many statements about faith, and then in other Hebrews verses, unto us was the gospel preached as well as to them, but the word preached to them didn't profit them, not being mixed with faith. Okay, so this is being a doer and also a hearer. I think we can be doers. We went over that in chapter 18. We'll go over that here. Okay. So then he explains this verse here. In this quotation, to us and them, make it clear that all of us hear the gospel. So unto us was the gospel preached as well as unto them. And then the gospel is good news. Good news is that you attained your desire. I don't think that this is what the gospel means. I think that what the gospel means in this scenario, as well as metaphysically, what the Bible says about the gospel is that the law of being. I like the Metaphysical Bible Dictionary's definition of faith and good news, that the truth of being is the key to understanding and achieving self-actualization. Because if you have what was I saying? If you have the idea that truth of being and fundamental truths, the fundamental facts that Neville himself talked about, then that's good news to hear, because you can use that good news. But you can also interpret good news to mean that you're interpreting whatever you assume to be true, even though it doesn't feel true with your senses. You can also assume that to be good news. I think, but that's a nitpicky thing. It's not very important either way. As long as you stick to the fundamental facts. Okay, it's always being preached to you by your infinite self. Okay, this is interesting. He doesn't say anything about this, but he's saying that the good news would be that you attained your desire, that you already attained your desire, and he's saying that is being preached to you by your infinite self, your greater self. So here's how your desire does exist, and you only need to accept it because this is good news. Okay, so it's kind of he's kind of switching it from, he's transitioning it from the good news being you have already attained your desire. You know what? He's just restating what I thought was true. I thought this to mean any specific, any one example of you having attained your desire. And I don't think, I think that is too limiting of a definition to put to gospel, but I misunderstood. So cool. All right, to hear that which you desire does exist in you. Maybe I should read like a paragraph and then break it down. To hear that which you desire does exist in you, only accepting conscious good news. Okay, denying the reality, as there's no profit possible. Okay, and then he says mixing it with faith means to deny the reality of that which you desire. I'm not going to talk about that. We're done here. Okay, all right. Another chapter or passage. O faithless and perverse generation, how long shall I be with you? Meaning of faithless have been made clear. I'm assuming because I don't think he's mentioned the word faithless here. No, okay. So I'm assuming he means that it's been made clear because the meaning of faith has been talked about a lot here. So perverse means to turn the wrong way in order, in other words, the consciousness of not being what you want to be faithless, that is to disbelieve the reality of that which you assume is to be perverse. How long shall I be with you means that the fulfillment of your desire, which is the I think, is predicated. The fulfillment of your desire is predicated on your change to the right state of consciousness. It is just as though that which you desire is telling you that it will not be yours until you turn from being faithless and perverse to righteousness. The already stated righteousness is the consciousness of already being what you want to be. Okay. I think we've defined righteousness already before in previous chapters. Okay, yeah, in chapter 20. State of harmony. All right, establishing consciousness through the right use of God-given attributes. What I like about the Metaphysical Bible Dictionary is that it is more broad in its definitions and the meanings of certain terms. Neville, I think he's too specific. He's too liberal with his definitions. But that could be just his way of understanding the truth that he learned. So yeah, I'm gonna fault him for it. Okay, going back over to the chapter. Okay. By faith he forsook Egypt. Okay, so I think Hebrews 11 was like the by faith. By faith, everybody did something in the Bible, and that's how they were able to do the great deeds that they did, by faith and believing that something was true that didn't feel true or wasn't true at the time. Okay, so by faith he forsook Egypt, not fearing the wrath of the king, for he endured, seeing him who is invisible. So Egypt means darkness. Let's see, do I define? I think I got tired of defining Egypt here. Belief in many gods. And I actually don't think that Egypt had a definition in the Metaphysical Bible Dictionary. Let's actually look here. Okay, so I looked up the definition of Egypt in the Metaphysical Bible Dictionary, and it's so there's a lot. But I mean overall, so it's here. You can pause the video and read it. Or actually, I'm gonna read it right now just to make sure. So the realm of substance and life, and the depths of the body consciousness. So it's also referred to as a material or a sense consciousness. Signifies the darkness of ignorance, and it has a special significance. So the Metaphysical Bible Dictionary also defines, demonstrates the physical significance of Egypt to be like everything below the diaphragm, and so all the plagues, like the lice and the frogs and all that stuff. He says that those are the Metaphysical Bible Dictionary, I guess. The author says that those plagues are common in those in like the intestines and those internal organs. Okay, but let's see, the other part of the definition, let me look back at that. Okay, the rest of the definition talked about, so Egypt is basically like darkness and ignorance and the flesh consciousness, which we eventually are to transition from. So Israel was in bondage in Egypt, and it was stuck in body consciousness, in you know, the reality, I guess, of what we perceive. And then it was really interesting. Later on, the Bible dictionary said that that we are supposed to cross the Red Sea, which is the divide between like the physical and the non-physical, and then the 31 kings of Egypt or the kings of Israel are thought forces that we're supposed to usurp. I'm gonna wholeheartedly say that I expressed doubt about the 31 kings being. It could be that they also mean. They also have a metaphysical meaning, but I'm pretty sure that the kings of Israel were real people. You know what? Actually, I shouldn't even say that. Never mind. I don't know yet. But so that's a question mark in my head for now. Is the meaning of the Old Testament and how much of it is reality. It could be that I'll never find that out. You know, you guys will know, because I'll be teaching all the stuff that I learned. Okay, anyway, back to the book here. Egypt means darkness, believe in many gods. Okay, the king symbolizes power outside conditions, and bring the wrath of the king. Yeah, the pharaoh guy. And he is your concept of self, as you are already. It's already one. Already, it's yourself as already being what you want to be. For he endured as seeing him who is invisible. The he is Moses, I believe, in the Bible. Okay, enduring as seeing him who is invisible and persisting in the assumption that your desire is already filled. Okay, so he's going back to his definition of faith as being the persisting in the desire, persisting in what you want is already real. Okay, this quotation means that persisting in the assumption that you already are the person you want to be, you rise above all doubt, fear, and belief in the power of outside conditions, and your world inevitably conforms to your assumption. Sounds good to me. And the dictionary definition of faith is the ascent of the mind or understanding to the truth. The Bible dictionary, Metaphysical Bible dictionary, talks a lot about truth, like true truth. No, like real truth, I guess. The truth being that in our identity is who we are. Maybe I'll do a deep dive in the Metaphysical Bible dictionary. It's not as clear cut as Neville's stuff is, though. So maybe not. I first have to find out where the Metaphysical Bible dictionary beliefs came from, as well as Neville's. But maybe the Metaphysical Bible dictionary was before Neville's. So and there are obvious corollaries, equal definitions. So I'm exploring the veracity and the history of of these metaphysical books. Yeah. Anyway, the wavering here's principle. Okay, so this is the dictionary definition of faith. They're so pertinent that they may well have been written with a lot of assumption in mind. Faith is not a question, faith knows. All right, so that is chapter 25. Next, we're going to go over, I don't know with editing, this might be, yeah, we're going to go over chapter 26 next, which is destiny. So these chapters, I'm going to be honest, I'm not completely comfortable with talking about them, because it's taking the concepts that were plugged in the beginning of the book, you know, claims like all the world is all consciousness, and we are manifestations of the greater self, which is I am. And then it's building off of those to even more, in my opinion, intangible, unmeasurable realms. And I think that the answer to find those out and figure all that out is experiencing the truth of whoever you are. And so through that you'll be able to believe that which you can't believe right now, which is, you know, funny, we're talking going around to faith here. Because that's what, for now, that's what you have to base your manifestations on. Like, you know that your thoughts have effects. Your thoughts, your beliefs have effects on the world around you, but to what degree and how and why, that those maybe will never be measured, and maybe we'll have to always walk by faith in what we can't see and can't believe. I don't know. I hope to shed light with this channel, and with like my whole life purpose is to shed light on what real truth is, and then share that. But this is, I mean, who else is doing something like this? Because this is not like socially acceptable to talk about like philosophical topics like this. Well, it's not socially common. It's not, I don't know. This is new for me. I'm just being vulnerable for a little bit in saying that, you know, this might be fruitless. This might be just me chasing the wind. But like I said before, if through my efforts a little bit of ignorance is removed from humanity as a whole, and I'll try my best to share the truths that I learn, then I think my life will be worth it. So yeah, I will continue onward. So next chapter is chapter 26, and then after this we'll go over lectures, which will be probably more interesting. There's a lot of interesting topics in there in the later lectures. So I think I'm just going to start from the latest, and then move on backwards. So yeah, we'll see how that goes. Bye guys.